Welcome back to Two Angry Dudes. Plus one today. It's been a long break, but we've been busy, had some holidays. We're back with our hockey special, which means a guest. We have Logan, who's
Hello.
often referred to on the pod as that guy that I argue with, but I've never used him by name. So here he is. Hockey special. We're going to recap the NHL season so far as it's on Olympic break, and then obviously we'll talk about some Olympic hockey as well. Today is Saturday, the 14th, Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, gentlemen.
Yes, happy
Yes, happy
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
As we record, the U.S. are struggling against Denmark, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. If I keep checking over my shoulder, it's because I'm desperate for them to lose. But we are going to start with the NHL, which is about halfway through, on pause. And what has this season been like so far? Logan, let's start with you. What do you think about this season so far?
Still ridiculous in the East. I checked once again. The wild card in the East is tight still. The wild card, like 1-6 from the Sabres to the Leafs, it's still like only 7 points between those six teams. You put any of those guys in the Pacific Division, they're in a locked playoff spot, and you're still in a wild card in the East. But then, like, those bottom teams they're some of the worst teams in the league.
There has finally been some separation that way. You're right. A lot of our pods over and over were like top to bottom was 6 points, but we've seen some of the bottom start to fall out quite significantly as some teams have decided to give up on this season. Colby, what's your half a season like?
My half a season's been pretty good as a Detroit fan.
No kidding.
Holding on to that. It's been an interesting season for me. There's definitely some teams that I thought were gonna do well that have been struggling more than I thought, and some teams that I didn't see coming and that are right up at the top of the standings there. So it's been an exciting one for sure.
It has been and exciting for maybe some of the wrong reasons. As you know, the hockey that we do watch, the highlights that we do watch, I feel like the product this year is just kind of bad.
Yeah.
The hockey has not been good. You can blame the condensed schedule if you want. Players really not caring about preseason games because they stay in fit all summer, they say, but it takes a long time. You know, that first month of hockey is pond hockey out there with bobbled passes and whiffs and uncoordination. And it has, I feel like it's just never really gotten better. And part of that, the other reason is the injuries this year are unreal. Like I've just never seen so many injuries and injuries to
Key
household
pieces.
names.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what the fix is for that. Maybe it all goes back to normal next year when it's not an Olympic year and it's not so condensed. But it's been weird, to say the least.
Yeah.
Okay. We are going to break this down by division. So Logan kind of mentioned it. We're going to start over here in the East in the Atlantic Division where the Tampa Bay Lightning sit atop. And they started slow, but boy, did they build a bit of a gap here. They still have 3 games in hand on the teams below them with a 6-point lead in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
They're a team that I expected to just keep getting worse. Like their core only keeps getting older, and they still find some way to keep up with everybody else. And it helps that the other guys are stepping up. Like Radish is having an unbelievable year this year. Like having Victor Hedman, start to slow down as he's getting older, like that's a big loss. But to have someone like that be able to come in there and step up and help produce like that, and picking other guys over Steven Stamkos, like that seems to be one of the best decisions that they've ever made. You know, that's kind of a gut punch to the fan base by getting rid of your captain, but it's working so well for them.
It is, but 2 points on that. One, I'm not afraid for them because they've had enough success, but they like you mentioned, they have guys who are having career years, and we've seen this with teams like Edmonton, Toronto, some lower teams now that when guys have career years, expectations go through the roof. Ottawa, and then they come back down to earth, and next year is like, now we're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
But the big thing is they've survived their injuries, unlike a lot of other teams. I mean, Vasilevsky's been hurt, Point's been hurt, Kucherov's been hurt, Hagel's been hurt. Like the list goes on again to big name players. Hedman missed a lot of time, but all they do is win.
Mm-hmm.
They have the depth in the organization to survive that, which is the most impressive thing for me, for them to be where they are with that list of injuries that they've had.
Their goal differential blows me away too. Like they're plus 59, and that's not a small margin to be up by. Like that's domination. That's huge.
That's with their star goalie being hurt and starting slow.
Yeah,
that's an incredible turnaround for them.
Hugely and I mean, a lot of it I think has to do with John Cooper as well. Like he's head coach for Canada right now, and it's for a very good reason. He is, in my opinion, the best coach in the league. It's either him or Paul Maurice, and yeah, he's just such a good coach that, you know, you could give him any team in the league and he would find some way to make that team competitive.
Yeah. The best coach to never win the Jack Adams Award in modern NHL, for sure. And as we all expected, you know, in second and third are the Montreal Canadiens and the Detroit Red Wings in the Atlantic, right? That's what we all predicted.
Yeah, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen.
No Toronto, no Florida, no Boston, Montreal and Detroit.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Is it Cinderella stories, or is this where they are now? Finally, for Detroit, who has been building up to this for 6-7 years now.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Detroit, it's a little bit of both, if I'm honest. I think they've got a great organization behind them that can obviously build a great dynasty, but I don't think this is the team they expected to be, where, like, you know what I mean? This isn't the roster that I think they were hoping to put forward to be in the position they're in right now. Like, I think it's great. I love seeing them up there in a playoff spot, but I don't think this is the roster that's going to bring them great success once we get into the playoffs. So
great success.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think they've got a good enough team to be a playoff team. I don't think that it's a team that can take them far into the playoffs, though. I'm hoping that they do.
Which, I mean, and as it stands, their first round matchup would be Montreal, who also doesn't scare me this year.
Yeah. But
are getting really scary moving forward because they've done their turnover.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was so hard on Juraj Slafkovsky because of the way he started his career, but not everybody is a Macklin Celebrini, is a Connor McDavid. Some guys take some time. He took his time, and he is good.
Mm-hmm.
He is good, and you're seeing that at the Olympics right now too.
Yeah.
Montreal, they had that run in the COVID year with Carey Price still in net to the Cup final. Weird situation, and since then it's been kind of blow up. But
poor Carey.
I really like the makeup of that team. You got Lane Hudson on the back end. You've got Ivan Demidov up front with Slafkovsky, Suzuki, who's made his way, you know, onto the Olympic team as well. I like the Canadiens a lot for the next few years, not so much this year though.
Well, and they picked up Philip Deneau. They brought him back. So that's the one thing that I think both Montreal and Detroit are lacking is center depth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do think Philip Deneau is good, but I think he's more of a third line center type thing. And that's kind of what Detroit has too. Like, you have Dylan Larkin as your number one centerman, but then you kind of just have 3 more 3Cs instead of having a designated second line center type guy. So I do think if both of those teams were to add someone like that, then it really would just put them over the top and really consider them as a contender.
Yeah, I think you're dead on with that. I think that also speaks to like their goal differentials. Like Montreal is in the positive, but they're only plus 12, and Detroit's at -1 goal differential, and I think that plays a lot into it, right? Like your top line is a decent top line, but then when you look at the rest of the roster, it's kind of just like third, fourth line guys that just fill out the rest of the field, and it doesn't help them. That's for sure.
Yeah, and both of them are doing it with, let's call it, average goaltending. Montreal's Montembeault has had an awful year. They've relied on a rookie. Detroit's got Gibson, who
You're
injury prone and is injury prone and a little past his prime, but he's done his job. We'll say that, but you aren't really envious of either of those goaltending situations, but they're where they are. So good for them. Now, the Atlantic, unsurprisingly, takes up both wildcard spots at this stage as well, with the Buffalo Sabres and the Boston Bruins. We talked about it when it happened, Buffalo firing their GM, and for them being the first team in pro sports history to get a GM bump, I guess. They barely have lost since that's happened. Have gone from
unsurprising
the bottom.
Buffalo's surprising as hell to me, at least.
Yeah. You're right. It's not the Atlantic team I would have put there, but my God. They've always had the roster on paper to do this, so it's about damn time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know what to expect from them, because they're another team who haven't been in the playoffs in forever. They've got no playoff experience on that roster. The goaltending, the triple goalie situation in Buffalo, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard in the East because it's hard in both divisions because you've gotten so used to the same teams making it to the end year after year, right? Like when I look at the East and I don't see Florida up there, I'm like, I wonder who's going to make it to the finals, like to the Stanley Cup finals. Like I honestly have no clue which of these teams is going to pull together enough to make it to the finals. So, yeah.
Tell me about Boston. Guy with the Bruins jersey on.
Again, I think it's another situation exactly like Montreal and Detroit. It's a little bit changed because we don't have a number one center, but then we have like 2 number 2 centers and then like 2 fourths. So it again is, you need that number 1 center and that number 2 to really carry everything, especially come time in the playoffs, because those, your first and second line, they're playing like 18 minutes a night each. And then, your fourth line kind of just ends up being your penalty killing line. They play 9 minutes at most. So just need that number 1 center still. You have the defensemen that you need. They need to stay out of the box. We by far have the most penalties in the league. I think Zadorov has the most penalties in the league. And when he's supposed to be playing on your top pair with McAvoy, that just doesn't help anything at all. And we're finally having some depth scoring, but it's not exactly from the guys that I want it to be. We're having guys again have career years, kind of like in our 100th season. That's, nobody expected us to make playoffs after losing Bergeron, and Krejci was gone, and all these losses to our team. But all these guys that are having these career years are guys that just kind of got brought in. Like, it's not any of the young drafted players that are finally getting a chance on the team. it's more just fourth line guys having good years, so they get to play on the third line, get bumps and looks on the second line and everything like that. Fabian Lysell was drafted so long ago and has barely played in the NHL. Same thing with Matt Patra. And I would just like to see the young guys have a shot at things, but I can't complain too much because we are in a playoff spot. But last year I was way more upset about that because you got to the point, you traded Marchand, you traded Carlo, you're trying to be bad. Why not give those young guys a look and give them some experience?
Yeah.
But goaltending is way better this year. I mean, the numbers don't say everything about it. Like our Swayman and Korpisalo's numbers, like they're not the best in the league, but it is way better than what they're showing because we're in the penalty box for half the game. So, when the goalies half the time have to play, with a shorthanded team in front of them, their numbers are going to be worse than what they're at. But I mean, James Hagens is having an unreal year with Boston College this year. Dean Latorno is actually getting some minutes this year as well. So we are going to be having some more young guys come up in the lineup. So I am hoping that maybe next year those guys do get a look. I mean, Hagens, with him playing in college, if their season ends early or anything like that, he could be in for the last 10 games of the regular season and playoffs if we're there by the end. But with our coaches and our management, I don't even know if they're going to get a look. So, you're just at the deadline, they'll probably find another fourth line grinder, some enforcer to throw in the lineup, and he'll be stuck on the first power play.
Colby
Which for some
Spearing.
reason is working. But yeah,
a little bit surprised to see them in a playoff spot again.
Well, and that was my prediction, was second wild card spot, but I was that was like where I see them doing at best. I kind of was hoping for one more bad year, maybe you get a look at McKenna or something close to that and then build up after that, but I'm not going to complain about
McKenna anymore. So that's the end of the playoff spots for the Atlantic. Over in the Metro, up top, you have the Carolina Hurricanes. To nobody's surprise, they're perennially there. They'll make it to the conference final and they'll lose to whoever. That's their style. And then, again, as everybody predicted, in second, the Pittsburgh Penguins. In third, the New York Islanders. So we came into the start of the year as, again, dubbing Pittsburgh the only team that wasn't competing this year, and they have not fallen off. Yeah. They're not going anywhere, and that's because it's led by Crosby, Malkin, Letang. These guys refuse to die. They are that meme. These guys refuse to die, and they are absolutely leading the Pittsburgh Penguins to an unreal season. An unreal season to be sitting in a playoff spot. And not
rather comfortably. Well, rather.
Oh, wow.
I think so, at least. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, 5 points on Columbus.
Yeah.
They're one up on the Islanders in a battle of home ice there. Nobody's catching Carolina. Carolina's run away with the Metro.
Yeah.
I want to see Pittsburgh there because I'm absolutely loving what Crosby's doing at the Olympics right now. The guy is unreal at the age of 38. He is so spectacular. So I don't know. Maybe this gives him some life and they go on a little Cinderella run because why not? What's even more impressive to me for Pittsburgh in a nerdy way is off ice. They are going through a lot. They were bought and then they were sold and rebought by another organization. Kyle Dubas took over there a couple of years ago. It's been a lot of turnover around the team, but not on the team, despite everybody calling for Crosby to move on over the last couple of years because they were so bad. stuck to their guns, and here they are. New York's where they are, I think, because of that rookie defenseman. Now, not because he's necessarily carrying the team, but he is in a lot of ways in some games, but it's just the injection of life to a really, really, really boring New York Islanders team for the last few years.
Yeah.
Matthew Schaefer is spectacular.
It's Schaefer and Sorokin, really. Like, it's...
Yeah, he's been great back there.
You know, he had some rough spots here and there, but he's right back to being a Vezina caliber goalie again. And yeah, it really shows. I really don't like watching that team at all. You know, they're in a playoff spot, 69 points, but they only have a +7 goal differential.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, boring defensive hockey, but it works. And that's what they did to get to the conference final back-to-back years. And, you know, then it kind of ended up being the reason that they struggled for a couple years after that. But it's back to working again. I don't exactly know why. They don't really have any scoring up there. I don't think bringing in Jonathan Drouin was your big fixing piece for that team. But whatever it is, it's working again.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's not working for the Capitals. I have to myself on that one. That team is... I don't really know what they are. They're a mix of really old and unknown. And they've got a monstrous goal differential, but that's largely on the back of Logan Thompson and the goaltending crew back there, because they're not a stellar hockey team in any way. They're sitting a couple spots outside of the wild card picture, 4 points out. And then we start to get to the teams that nobody thought they would be where they are. The Ottawa Senators, after making the playoffs last year, and then you got the Leafs. You got the Flyers, who started the year insanely strong. You got the Florida Panthers, who have been to 3 straight Cup finals, so maybe time's catching up to them. The New Jersey Devils, who are always fighting the Hurricanes for the top of the Metro, and then the New York Rangers to round out the East. The Rangers are a story all on their own. They are the worst team in hockey that I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah. The only team with a below... Oh, no. Well, I guess the only team in the East. The West is a different picture, but the only team in the East with below a 50% points percentage on, like, games played. Like, wins versus losses.
Yep.
Not a great thing to hold.
No. So the Rangers are a tire fire. The Devils, injuries, poor goaltending. The Panthers, a ton of injuries. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I just think eventually fatigue finally sets in. 3 straight trips to the Cup final. And the way that they play hockey isn't European pass hockey. It is physical hockey, and that's got to catch up with you eventually, especially when he brought the whole gang back. They brought the whole gang back.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of fresh bodies on that team, and not a whole lot of young ones either.
No.
Bob is old. Marchand is old. Barkov's been around the block. Kachuk's been through his injuries. He's been around a while. That team's not youthful.
Yeah.
Do you think Florida can make a push after the break? No.
Writing
them off.
I think even if they do make a push, they don't make the cut. You know what I mean? Like, they could make a push and win a bunch of games here, but I don't think they win enough games to catch up to teams like Boston or Buffalo for that wild card spot.
And honestly, it's probably the best thing for them. Take a year off, get a pick down in the bottom half, get some rest, and all of a sudden next year they're going to be, I'll start predicting it now, they're going to be a menace next year to deal with if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah. Don't they not have their first round pick though? I thought that was either like Chicago or the Bruins pick.
I think you're right. I think
Yeah.
Chicago has it.
But because there's stipulations because they traded that
Protected.
second rounder for Marchand,
Yeah.
which then has the stipulation of being like a first round pick next year. But then with the Seth Jones trade, there was something about it being top 10 protected, but I don't know how all that ends up working out. So they may
I
end
don't
up getting
either.
that first rounder still this year, but
Yeah.
the way that they have made their trades, there's like just everything is affected on what happens with the Bruins second rounder and this year's first and everything like that. So I don't know how it will end up going, but if they end up not getting a first rounder after doing this bad and they're only getting older, then that's a really, really big issue for them because they've been good for so long and they keep buying in to go on the cup run, so they don't have any youth in here. So
they have one of the craftiest GMs in all of sports. So I don't count them out.
Too.
He will find loophole after loophole. He'll find deals that nobody knew existed. He will.
I was thinking maybe
work.
that's why they're doing so crappy this year is because with one of those stipulations they get all their picks back if they do crappy this year.
Yeah, right?
Okay,
There's
boys.
Some underlining here.
Every talented player on this team is going to get injured this year so that we can get our first rounders back.
Yeah, right. Ottawa's problem is goaltending point blank. When you're signing James Reimer mid-season, you're in hot water. You are in hot water. For the third straight goalie signing, they thought that they had the guy. And I don't know if it's the defensive system there. They've gone through goalie coaches. It doesn't work. Ottawa's goaltenders have been embarrassing for years now.
I think it's the goalies and the bottom defensemen on that team. Like your defensive core is led by Thomas Chabot and Jake Sanderson, but it's not a lot after that. And then you bring in a guy like Ullmark and he's not playing like how he was on the Bruins, and you can't really find all that good of a backup. It doesn't matter how good your offense is. And I mean, that hasn't even been all that amazing because Brady Tkachuk keeps getting injured. And again, like there's not a whole lot of amazing depth after that too. Like Claude Giroux is only getting older.
Yeah, they have their star power is Sanderson, Young, Stud. They have Stützle up front, guys like that. But they need to sort the goaltending out if they want any hope of anything. And I thought maybe last year was the start of it when they moved on from Josh Norris. They need to pretty much blow this up and start over again, I think, because they've tried this and they've been on the cusp for 5-6 years. They finally broke through last year. They put up a half decent fight against the Leafs where they were heavy underdogs. I had high hopes for them this year.
They had pretty much their entire organization blown up by Chris Kunitz eliminating them in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They have gone through an entire rebuild, got back into the playoffs one year, and have fallen off the cliff again. And Pittsburgh hasn't changed anything. They haven't gone through any rebuild, and they kept missing playoffs, and now they're just miraculously back in, and Ottawa is out again.
Yeah.
Sometimes patience. The Leafs. They are 6 points out of a playoff spot. I've made a bunch about it on the pod. Not the best excuse, but I mean, the injuries to that team are still ongoing. Like, I don't know if Chris Tanev will ever play again. Yeah. Guys having a lot of down here. Like, Brandon Carlo's been terrible. Morgan Riley's been awful. Like, even worse than his bad year last year. Austin Matthews has been hurt. He doesn't look great this year. Nylander's been hurt. Tavares is 50-year-old man, damn near. Moving on from Marner has not looked good, and I don't think that's not the problem. Marner leaving isn't the problem. But I don't want them to even make a push at this point in time. What's the point of squeaking into possibly a wild card 2 spot and getting absolutely pumped in the first round? I don't see any benefit to that at all. I think it's time for them to, at the deadline, they're going to have to sell because they don't have any picks even. they've sent all their picks away the last 10 years.
Yeah.
This, whatever, 9-10 years straight of making the playoffs.
Yep.
They need to sell for picks.
The super perplexing thing for me with Toronto is like I don't understand what they needed to do. You know what I mean? They had the team for so many years that should
You're
have
not
been the
kidding.
team to make it to
should
at
have
least the
worked at
conference
some point.
finals. Yeah,
Well,
like
and that's
they
the
they
thing.
were
like,
there
if-
consistently.
yeah.
They just
If
couldn't
you
pull
look-
it together.
through their history, the amount of time, because they get ragged on for never making it past the first round. How many times did they lose to the eventual Eastern Conference champion or the Stanley Cup champion?
100%.
Boston, Tampa, Florida. Like every time, literally one step away. If you make it through that first round, Lord knows what happens, but they always lose to the Eastern Conference representative in the Stanley Cup final.
And how many
Every
of those how many of those years did that team go on to win the Stanley Cup as well, right?
A
Like
lot.
they're
A lot.
losing to the top tier team of the league in the
Every
first
damn
round.
time, man.
But I'm just so confused because like
yeah.
you know, each year they would fall back on a different thing. Like it would be the goaltending, and then the next year it would be the defensive core, and then the next year it was Matthews didn't have the people that understood how he played to make it all come together, and then it was Matthews needs to go, but it's always something, right? And it's kind of like that the team has had the pieces for how many years now to make a good run and to make a push, and like it just never came together for them, and now it's kind of feeling like it's coming to that point where they need to kind of reset a lot, because like you said, without the picks to continue building on the team, you need to basically just scrap it and go from zero, right? And kind of build back up like Detroit did many years ago. So
they have Matthews, who said he'll resign. We'll see. He's only got a year left. Nylander signed long term, and after that, they have a ton of third line players.
Yeah,
it's not. You're not. There's nothing you can trade that's going to bring in a ton for assets. They're not trading Nice. That's the future to build around with Nylander signed long term. You have three goalies.
Smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 goalies. One of them's got to go because Hildeby's proved this year that he can play in the NHL. And then it breaks my heart, but I think you have to move on from Morgan Riley, who's been my favorite Leaf since his inception into the NHL. But it doesn't work in Toronto anymore for him. And again, you're not going to get anything massive in return for him, but it's a piece that needs to be different because that's the only piece that's been there for this entire time.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I would really blame them for losing in the playoffs and, you know, it being against a worse team would be, you know, the bubble against Columbus, and that was just such a wacky playoffs that I don't really even want to blame them too much for that either. But yeah, like every
Tavares
single
got hurt, and there's excuses, but no, you're right. They should have won that, but
every other time, like when you have to play the prime Bruins, Tampa Bay, and Florida
dynasty, and then Florida dynasty. Like what do you do?
And the tough part of about those series is even if they make it through that, they're going to be so beat up moving on to the next round, right?
Because it was game goddamn 7 every time.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Logan. I was just
It's not like it wasn't close either. Like they kept pushing it to 7 game, like all the way, all of these series. Like just a couple years ago against the Bruins, it was game 7 in overtime. You have one bounce go a different way. They're moving on again. It's not like it's, you know, they're getting walloped every time that they show up. Like, I think it was just whenever, I don't remember what year it was now, but other than Florida playing Edmonton in the finals, they were the closest team to beating the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's not an easy thing to do. So, and I don't even think one of the years that they should have won, they scored in overtime while Radko Gudas was bear hugging a defenseman in front of the goal, not letting him play. Like that was the easiest interference call ever. And yeah, nothing was called for it. So once again, you get that call. Maybe they win that series again. And
Maybe. They're
it's
always
just
so close.
it's just tough breaks left and right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, if they're smart, I don't know. They're under new ownership there too. They've had a year. Let's see where that goes. Over to the West, and looking at the Central, you got the Colorado Avalanche, who really struggled going into the break by their standards. They are up to 9 regulation losses. When last we spoke, I think they still only had 2.
2, yeah.
So that's not a great win percentage for them down the stretch, but certainly not
No.
affecting their players at the Olympics right now.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
They're only 4-5-1 in their last 10 heading
Yeah.
into the break. And yeah, from a team that's been dominant all year long, that's really not great, but maybe having this break will
For most of their
somehow
players,
just
yeah.
make that team better again and how they were going at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Especially guys for like Gabe Landeskog, who is so injury prone. Like he has a long period of time to just sit now. So
Yeah. Well, he's playing, but
he is. I thought.
No, he scored Sweden's first goal of the tournament.
Oh, well,
That
that
Swedish
is
team's
news
in
for me
danger
then.
too. So are the Finns. I can't wait to get to that stuff. Minnesota sitting in second. They have unbelievable goaltending.
Yeah.
Best goaltending tandem in the league. They
Their
added Quinn
coaches
Hughes.
must be unreal, hey? Because every goalie that goes there just does amazing.
I'll never forget. We talked a lot about Skinner just moving on and getting out of the situation. It was the same with Devin Dubnyk. He went over to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Curtis
Lights
Joseph
out.
for a year. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? They add Quinn Hughes in that big move to a D that is already pretty star-studded. Dallas, the old guys, clinging to third. Minnesota and Dallas, tale as old as time, really, in the playoffs. So let's see if Dallas can finally break through. That friggin' Central Division is so much like the Atlantic. Like these poor guys that Dallas, every time they lose, it's to Colorado or Edmonton, who go all the way. I don't think this is their year either. They're a really good team, but like looking at Colorado and Minnesota, how do you consider anybody else in the Central, let alone the West, than those two teams?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny.
Scary.
The three teams from the Central that hold playoff spots compared to the 3 teams in the Pacific that hold playoff spots are completely different caliber of hockey at the moment. Like Edmonton, is always in the conversation because they have the best player in the league at the moment, and all the hype behind them. But like, when you look at those 3 teams in the Central compared to the 3 from the Pacific, it's just like completely different hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you look at Colorado, 83 points, Minnesota 78, Dallas 77, and then you go to the Pacific, Vegas 68, Edmonton 64, and Seattle 63.
Yeah.
In a playoff spot.
Yeah.
What is the West doing?
It's nuts.
I kind of buried the lead there, but that's the Pacific top 3. Like you said, it's Vegas, it's Edmonton, who on the backs of McDavid and Draisaitl are always there.
Their goal differential is terrible this year, though, compared to the last few. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. How do we feel about Edmonton making a 3rd deep run?
I honestly don't know if they have it this year. Like just looking at the roster and the types of players that they have on the team, or people that were supposed to replace others, they just haven't lived up to the standards that they need to be. Like Trent Frederick is having the worst year of his career as someone who should have been replacing like Corey Perry.
Yeah.
And that's just not happening, and they just don't seem to have the same third and fourth line as they did in years previous. And I mean, a lot of it too just comes down to ice time and what they are getting, because you have guys like Matt Savoy and Isaac Howard. You have those really good young guys being in the lineup, but then they're just not playing them in the right situations. I mean, they could prove me wrong, like come playoff time and go on a big run again, but just with what has been happening around that team this year, especially like with the goalie situations and everything like that, I think morale is just lower than normal. And yeah, I mean, I could see them being competitive, especially since out of those, the top three teams in the league, really, with Minnesota, Dallas, with Colorado, one of those teams has to be out in the first round. So even then,
Right.
if there's upset, like Colorado, if they somehow lose in the first round, then one of Minnesota and Dallas, they play each other, they're out. Who else really does Edmonton have to worry about? Vegas, I just don't think has
I
it. They
don't see
don't
it.
have the goaltending this
Nope.
year. So the with the standing situations, with how the Central is and how bad the Pacific is, they could easily go on another run again. But if they do, it's probably to lose to a team in the East again.
Yeah.
They
The
need to
thing,
do themselves a favor, and they need to nab that number one spot to avoid any mix up in the first. Now, as it stands, they play Seattle in the first round, and I would pick Edmonton in 4 there.
In
No,
4.
no offense to Seattle, but they need to help themselves out a little bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, you were.
I think the problem for me with Edmonton is also their biggest asset at the moment. Like they're such a wish-washy team, right? Like the thing I've always critiqued Edmonton about, and the thing that I've always hated Edmonton for, is listening to their fans saying they're the best hockey team, they have the best player, they're this and that, they're gonna go far every year, they're gonna win the cup every year. They're a team that relies on odd man breaks and power play. They're not good at even strength. They're not
No,
good
their power
unless.
play is unreal.
But yeah, but they're so. The thing that I think confuses me about them is that teams don't just instantly set up a trap when they're playing them. Because it doesn't make sense to me that you're letting McDavid and Draisaitl go on odd man breaks like multiple times a game, because if you don't let them do that, they don't have very many other ways to score goals. Like they just
No.
don't, right? So it's kind of
don't.
like I completely agree. There's nobody else that they need to be scared of pending the right situations going into playoffs here for the first couple rounds, right? But so they could have a nice easy ride right into the conference final at the very least, right? But it's kind of like I just don't understand how teams haven't caught on that, hey, let's just set a guy up on our blue line and leave him there so that McDavid can't fly past him. We always have somebody there. You know what I mean? Like, play further
Why
back.
are you not
Play
playing
like Philadelphia
man
did.
defense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, play like
Draisaitl
Philadelphia
doesn't move
did.
on the power play. He's Ovechkin on the other side of the ice. The
Yeah.
guy doesn't move.
Yeah. So like,
but hey, nobody stopped Ovechkin either. So I don't.
yeah,
I guess
when
it's harder than I
Philadelphia
think
was
it
a
is.
really strong team for a while there, they always played a 3-man trap, right? They'd send 2 guys deep, and they'd have 3 guys set up high. So as soon as the other team got the puck, those 3 guys were back on their own blue line waiting for the breakout passes to happen, and you couldn't get into the offensive zone on them, right? And it's kind of like,
forget Chicago stopping at their own blue line with the puck and staring at them.
Yeah.
When this was really contentious hockey.
100%, yeah.
Like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like,
and that was a
it's
team with
working.
Kane. That was a team with Kane and Taves in their prime, and they couldn't do anything against it. 2 of the best playmakers that played together when they were in their prime, and they couldn't do anything against it. So it's kind of like, I think that that's Edmonton's biggest strength, because they can kind of be in the midst of getting a win against any team, right? One wrong bounce and they're right back in the game. But it's also their biggest weakness, because if a team can set up for it, they don't have the people that have the puck control capability as long as you can shut McDavid down to get the puck into the offensive end to set up like that offensive end pressure, right? So it's just kind of like I don't get it. But anyways, that was a long rant on just for that. But
now we feel better.
I do completely agree. Like with the 1-3-1 system does work when properly incorporated. Like that's what LA used to run, was a 1-3-1, and Edmonton found a way around it and walked them for 3 straight years, and the fans and the players demanded that they go away from that. But when it works, it does. And Florida has done it back to back years. Like it's not exactly a 1-3-1, but they found a way to shut things down. And when they're not on the power play all the time, or they're not having all these good breaks, a lot of that goes towards Paul Maurice, in my opinion. I really don't think that team's all that spectacular if you take away Paul Maurice. But
they play structured.
They play an amazing structure, and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, 100%.
The wild card in the West, Utah and Anaheim. I'm happy for Utah. Moving there from Phoenix, the owner said, "I will spend money." He did. The team is pretty decent. Anaheim, you had a great point before we started recording. They started really, really strong. People wondered if they would hang on. They are, but kind of by their fingernails in wild card too. But still, not a lot of people besides myself really thought that they would be a playoff team this year.
I didn't.
I didn't like anything that they did in the offseason. They brought in some better players, but they're all old.
Yeah.
So they are better this year, but they got way older while doing it.
You needed some age to the youth. Moving on from Trevor Zegras, I wasn't sure if that was going to work, but it's looked a gem for them.
It's worked for both sides.
For both sides, yeah. You talked about that with Tampa moving on from Stamkos. Obviously not the same legacy of a player, but he was, their guy, their young guy, the guy who was supposed to lead the charge, and they moved on. And like you said, it's definitely worked for both sides.
Yeah.
LA's sitting just outside the wild card picture with Nashville just behind them. Now, Nashville ending up in this position from where they were the Rangers. The star-studded team that were getting absolutely pumped left, right, and center. And I can't tell you why it's working now, but it's working now.
Yep.
I mean, it helps that Stamkos is doing better. He had a huge slump for the start of the year, and he's really been heating up after that. But it's not like a lot of other guys are. Jonathan Marchessault is still basically doing nothing. Yeah. And it's not like UC Saros is standing on his head every single night. I don't know what it is. Barry Trotz just stepped away.
Yeah, he said, after this year, I'm done.
Yeah, so I don't know what it is that's putting them only 4 points out. I don't know what it is. They could make a push. They've played the same amount of games as Utah.
Yeah.
LA is interesting. They trade and sign Panarin when they're already on the outside looking in. Kopitar's retiring at the end of this year. And now they've lost Kevin Fiala for the rest of the year. I don't like LA's chances, but I really, really want them to get in so that when Edmonton takes that top spot, we can see Edmonton, LA for the 5th straight time.
It would be good.
Yeah, we'll talk about Kevin Fiala again in a little bit. That was devastating, but then you got San Jose, led by Celebrini, obviously. I was hyping up San Jose. They've fallen off a little bit, but I'm curious to see if come deadline time, do they add? Especially with the way Celebrini's playing at the Olympics right now. My goodness, how can you not watch that as GM AJ Greer go, man, I need to get some talent
Yeah,
on his
we
wing
got some
because
special. Yeah.
my God, they're more than one piece away. But do you start adding now and let some chemistry build, let some confidence build? I think they're gonna catch and end up in a wild card spot. That's my bold prediction from here. Um, I just don't know how they don't. I just like I'm looking at Nashville ahead of them. I don't have faith. LA's in big trouble now.
Yeah.
So do they catch one of Anaheim or Utah?
That's so tough for
Seattle?
me. I would love to see it. I just don't know if they have the guys to do it. And it's such a tight
Yeah.
It's such a tight window to try and fit in there, right?
They
that it's kind
gotta
of
get brave at the deadline. They've gotta.
Yeah.
Well, and if they do make it, they're probably just gonna get walloped.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, because you're like if you're WC2, right? You're getting Colorado in the first round.
Yeah.
which I mean could work, like we were just talking about with Edmonton, and like maybe an upset with Colorado. It could be a situation like San Jose pulls a Columbus against Tampa, and maybe they do beat Colorado. But I don't see that at all. They have
I mean,
no defense.
Colorado's got a history of it though, right? With Seattle in their second
Yes.
year, nobody had Seattle picked,
Yeah.
and that was a massive upset.
Very true.
Just behind San Jose is Chicago. They're still spinning their wheels as a team that can't decide if they want to be terrible or add or I don't know. Bedard's still on an island. I feel bad for the guy being left off the Olympic roster. Especially, the argument to be made with what Celebrini's doing over there. Like, why would you not add goal scorers?
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be working. The poor guy's got no experience, feeling left out. I hope it doesn't totally demoralize him in the back half of the season, because it's been an improved year in Chicago, but it's still not great.
Yeah. I hope it does the opposite for him.
Yeah. It should really motivate him, I'd hope. But again, like, what is there to play for in that organization? I don't. The West is down here from Chicago down is the organizations of what in the hell are you doing? How is Winnipeg down here in the basement of the West with Calgary and Vancouver?
Yeah. Well, and it's hilarious looking at the basement in the West too, because there's one team that's like you can say they're all pretty far down there, but there's one team that's even further. Like, it's just kind of like, how bad can we possibly get down here?
Yeah.
In Vancouver,
yeah, we're
right?
at the point here. Yeah, you mentioned the Rangers are the only team in the East with a sub 500 points percentage. Chicago, Winnipeg, Calgary, St. Louis, Vancouver are all sub 500 win percentage.
Yeah.
And once you get down to Vancouver, it's big at a 3.68 is. But hey, at least they've decided on what they're actually doing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Calgary has.
The tough part is now they got to figure out what they do to get out of where they are.
Yeah, that's not an easy task. When you move on from Quinn Hughes, like, I understand the piece they brought in it's a nice prospect, but that's not the same thing. Calgary moves on from Anderson. Maybe they finally have decided. Like, I still expect them to be sellers here at the deadline. They've got pieces still that other teams are going to want and are going to pay for. So let them pay for it, please.
Yeah.
You're killing me. Yeah. I'm not even a Flames fan. I'm just annoyed. I've had enough.
Yeah. It's tough to watch.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah. Hockey in the west half of Canada is dismal. Dismal unless you're sitting in Edmonton.
Yeah. And even then.
Okay. Yeah. Even then. Look back at some of the predictions we had in the preseason. I've kind of touched on my four, but I'll get through them real quick here. So I said San Jose and Anaheim are going to be pushing for playoff spots. Anaheim is making it tough, but fingers crossed. San Jose, I already told you, is my big prediction in the second half. I think they will. They're close enough. I just want to see Celebrini play playoff hockey. I also said no matter what injuries or what situation, that Florida was going to be there. I'll own that one.
Yep.
Like you guys, I've given up on Florida. I don't think it's happening this year, and I think the organizations realized for themselves it's not this year. It's not it, right?
Yeah.
And lastly, I said Washington was too old. I said the hype of the OV chase was the only thing that had that team moving, and that they would fall off. They're on the outside looking in, and I don't have faith for them. So,
Yeah.
as far as predictions go on this pod, my 3-for-4 look is not too bad. Notwithstanding your NFL predictions, which we'll touch on in another pod because dynamite come playoff time. But
pretty good, yeah, pretty good.
Logan, your predictions. You said
Um,
Draisaitl was going to score 60.
yeah. It's not looking amazing. I mean, he's at 29 goals already. So if he does go on a heater, then maybe he gets there. But I mean, it's not looking that great of a chance right now, especially with Edmonton being a little more mediocre this year than anything. Like their power play is still clicking. It's like 31%.
Yeah.
So if I don't know, maybe they play all these teams at the end, they just keep drawing stupid penalties and they're scoring 2 power play goals every game, then maybe it happens, but I just don't think at this point. I mean, goal scoring this year and last year just as a whole has been down.
Yeah.
You know, you put it like 3 years ago, and I mean, just a couple of years back, you had David Pastrnak score like 63 goals and not win the Richard because McDavid had like 66 that year.
That's coming off of Matthews at 69.
Yeah, almost a second goal a year.
Yeah.
And then last year, I think there was 2 guys with 50.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have McKinnon at 40, so there's a good chance that
he's got 50 locked. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, like Draisaitl, one of the best goal scorers in the league, like he might barely just tickle 50. So 60 doesn't look all that great for me so far.
Yep.
You had also Shesterkin for the Hart Trophy.
Yeah, which he has been playing very, very good, considering the team that is in front of him. Like, you know, you're the only team in the East that is below 500. But as of right now, he has a 2.45 goals against and a 913 save percentage on the worst team in the East.
Yep.
If you were to have the Rangers like squeak into playoffs, I do think that there is a chance, but you have Ilya Sorokin in the exact same division carrying the Islanders right now. So if, you know, he would probably get it at that point. I don't think it's a brutal take from me, but the Rangers are just garbage.
I think it's a great take. I think you just got unlucky with the team that he's on.
Yeah. The man's not letting you down.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the rest of it is.
Yeah.
You touched on your third one already, which is looking bang on right now, of Bruins in wild card 2 in the East. That's the faith you had.
Yeah, I mean, right now it kind of just looks like a flip-flop between Buffalo and them for wild card 1 and 2. There's only a point between them.
Yep.
But yeah, I hoping that one will still hit by the end of the year.
Not bad.
I think there's a good chance, yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I made a lot of predictions because I run my mouth a lot, and I don't remember a lot of them. I'm pretty sure my predictions are all the opposite of what you guys got going on. I was saying that I thought Detroit was going to do crap this year, and they're in a playoff spot. Like, not crap, but I'm pretty sure I said the words, I think they'll just miss a playoff spot, and I don't see that happening. I think they're in the playoffs this year. So that's a miss already. And then I think my other big one that I kind of stood firm on was Florida and Edmonton being the 2 teams that make it again. I saw it being the same year as the last couple. I thought it was going to be, you know, Edmonton was the weaker team, but they'd make it to the Cup Finals, and I thought Florida was going to do the same thing they always did, where they kind of like go steady through the season, make it into the playoffs, and then ramp up
Just squeak
to the
Yep.
end of the year, right? and that's, I mean, Edmonton's on par, I guess, but they don't look good. Like, they look good because they're in the West, but as a team, if you look at the league as a whole, they're a pretty average hockey team this year, and Florida's out. So, in my opinion, Florida's gone. So, I mean, I think I missed big this year.
Yeah. It's okay. That's okay. That's more on par for our brand, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
Swing big, miss wide.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So that's the NHL season up to this point. I'll be very happy to get back to it after the Olympics. Obviously, the Olympics are taking up a lot of the oxygen right now. The Super Bowl's over, so it gets its whole highlight will be full swing into the NHL after the Olympics are over. But we are going to quickly chat about the Olympics as we sit here on the Saturday. Team Canada's got one game left. All the round robin play should be wrapped up tomorrow on the Sunday. And I'll start with I was wrong again. I criticized a lot of those picks.
Me too.
I am glad that they added Sam Bennett, who magically, by the way, hasn't even sat out. It was a late addition and was all of a sudden a mainstay in the lineup when you got Brad Marchand sitting out game 2, not Sam Bennett. And Thomas Harley is an absolute stud. What? Some guys put on that national jersey and are just a different human being.
Yeah.
Jordan Binnington, I wanted to stay in his corner, but thank God he's doing what he did in the first game.
Yep. I mean, Reimer made a career out of it.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. But
So-
no, I'll tell you now, absolutely nobody is touching this Canadian team. They dominated the Czechs, who are a legitimate medal contender.
Mm-hmm.
The Swiss, who have won back-to-back world championships, are a really great team. I had a lot of fun watching that game. Canada, again, in both games, they kind of squared off in the first period, and then periods 2 and 3 absolutely dominated.
Yeah.
The Americans aren't having the same domination in their group play right now. I don't think there's anybody that touches this Canadian team. And that newly formed first line of Celebrini, McKinnon, and McDavid. Oh. You're an opposing coach of a European team who doesn't live in the North America, but you know who these guys are. You don't coach in the NHL. You see that lineup on the board, and you turn to your guys and you say, "What do you say?"
Good luck, boys.
Yeah, like it happened midway through that second game in Switzerland, and there's no way you break that lineup. Like, they are incredible, feeding off each other. The speed on that line of those three together, the IQ and the offense is terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We played goal. So I'm trying to imagine playing goal, and you see coming at you at 80 kilometers an hour is friggin'
Yeah.
McDavid, McKinnon, and Celebrini.
Mm-hmm.
Just get big, and stand there.
Stack them up, extra maple syrup, hope for the best.
Yeah. So I was heavily critical of their defense, and everybody, the nation, was worried about their goaltending. But through 2 games, it's looked pretty good.
Yep.
On both counts.
1 goal against.
1 goal against. I am surprised Tom Wilson is still playing. Maybe he sits out game 3, and that's nothing to do with him or, his reputation. He did get tangled up with Fiala in that Swiss game, which it wasn't a dirty hit. It wasn't malicious. It was an unfortunate incident. They kind of went down. He falls on his leg. Fiala gets stretchered off the ice, and he's done for not just the Olympics, but the year, as I mentioned, as he gets reconstructive surgery on that leg. But he just looks... He's timid, for one, because he doesn't want to go over the edge, and he hasn't found the balance. and then he looked slow. You know, he started on that McDavid line. It didn't last long because McDavid's in a different stratosphere. He's going to do that to a lot of guys, but Wilson couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Right. So he falls down to that makeshift third line with Suzuki. And, you know, watching that game with Marchand in the stands, it makes me want to blow my brains out. I would rather have Marchand on the ice playing with Suzuki than I would Tom Wilson.
Yeah. Yep.
And again, nothing against him, but this is Wilson's first time ever putting on a Canadian sweater, and he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You can see he's like, no, I can't go over the line. I can't do it.
Yeah. Whereas Marchand has lost sight of that line years and years and years ago.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what to do. Yeah.
You know, it was a great shot of Celebrini's goal, and Marchand's in the stand, fist pumping him, and he's just happy to be there, and that makes me happy in a way.
Yeah.
The defense, you know, with Josh Morrissey getting hurt, game one, they haven't really said anything if he's in or out. Sanheim looked okay. Thomas Harley's played a lot, and he has looked amazing. Drew Doughty as another guy, you put the Canadian sweater on him, and he's prime time again.
Yeah. Yeah, that jersey loses 10 years off his career somehow.
Yeah.
Just rewinds him to the past.
Yeah. I didn't expect him to play a ton. He's been playing a lot of minutes. Of course, Cale Makar and Devon Tays are what they are, and they've been awesome. But my biggest surprise is the way Connor McDavid is playing right now. In that Swiss game, he hit a player legally so hard that he knocked him out of the game.
Yeah.
What?
When you watch that clip, if I didn't see that it was McDavid before watching the clip of that hit, there's no way I would have ever guessed.
You think
that
it's
was
Tom
Connor.
Wilson?
Yeah, Wilson or
exactly.
That hit was gigantic. Like, that was Chris Pronger, like Nicholas Kronwall style hit. Like, that was huge. Yeah.
It makes me wonder two things. One, how awful would it be being his roommate on this trip? Because it's not going to be fun. And two, why the hell did he not play like that against Florida?
Fantastic question.
Silence,
you gotta
right?
wonder. You gotta
Where
kind
did
of
this
wonder.
come from?
You gotta wonder how much of it is the comfort of knowing. Because I would imagine being McDavid, there's a lot of pressure built into that, right? Like you're inundated with fans' opinions of him being the best player in the league and wanting that success, and you know that on that team you're one of the two players that makes that team, right? Like without, and I would say without McDavid, Draisaitl isn't the player that he is. Like,
He's
in
not
my
the same.
opinion,
You're seeing it actually right now.
he's still a stellar player. Don't get me wrong. Like, he is an unreal hockey player, obviously very talented. He is not the caliber that he is without McDavid. So there's a lot of pressure built in, and you got to wonder how much that plays into his ability to kind of let loose on the ice when he's playing for the Oilers compared to when he's got that Canada jersey on and you're surrounded by top tier players. You can kind of step back and be like, I can level this guy, because if I throw my shoulder out and I got to miss the rest of this game, it's going to be okay. Whereas, like, when you're on the Oilers and you're going into a game, and you got to think how much of that mentality plays into it, right? I wish you could see it. It would make watching the Oilers a lot more fun, but I don't know.
But, you know, McKinnon said it going over there. They're all business, and they look all business. You know, as a Canadian fan, I'm not afraid of any other team in this tournament right now. Sweden and Finland are in a blender. They're struggling. The Finns are going to make it through to the elimination games, but as like the 7th of 8 seeds, just squeaking through because Italy, the Italian men have had a real hard time in this hockey tournament.
Can't imagine there's a whole lot of rinks in Italy to develop your skills over the years.
But the Slovaks have looked good, and you know, I was talking about this when We had to cut there for a bit with Logan. The Czechs, the Swiss, the Slovaks, the Germans, even Latvia and Denmark now, these guys are all playing North American styled hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, I'm not saying that is a bad thing by any means or that it's the way it should be played, but it's why they're matching up so much better against these other teams.
Yeah.
Sweden and Finland still don't do that. They're still very European. Let's pass 864 times before shooting. That's why Nylander fits in so well at the Olympics. The guy's never registered a hit in his career. It's very much avoid contact, finesse.
Yeah.
But we saw this even going back to the World Juniors with the Czechs. They've started this program early. They are physical. They grind. They want to impose. They're not avoiding anything.
And they're not afraid of anybody. Like
they're not.
They don't...
These little nations are not afraid of Canada or of the U.S.
Yeah.
And it makes for some incredibly entertaining hockey. And some people who are slightly more out of touch and are used to Canada just dominating, especially with the NHL players, it's just Canada, the U.S. They go, oh, well, like that didn't look good. Like what? Why is the score this? Hockey's come a long way in Europe for these international events, and we talked about it. The Swiss have won back-to-back World Championships.
Yep. Even look back to World Juniors. I was one of those guys. When I watched that first game, I can't remember who they played. Was it Czech that Canada played first in the World Juniors?
Yeah.
And I was like, we barely beat the Czechs. We're going to be screwed. But it's like, I agree with you. It's completely different hockey lately.
So the U.S. are going to win their group. They haven't done it pretty against Denmark and Latvia. 5-1 against Latvia, but that game was 1-1 going into the third. They beat Denmark 6-3, and at one point were trailing the Danes. There's been a lot made about it in North America, about how this transition is coming. Canada held them off with the Four Nations. We still own this game. I don't like that U.S. roster at all. Right? Connor Hellebuck is not clutch. Jeremy Swayman looked terrible against the Danes. They left off every goal scorer imaginable, the Americans did, and decided to go for, I don't know what is their game plan.
Me neither.
I think with the Americans, like their defense is so good. Like
yes,
top to bottom, like even someone like Quinn Hughes, who has been criticized for being not the greatest defensively, he has stepped it up, and obviously he won a Norris, like he's finalists, everything like that. Even a guy like him, who's considered not one of the best defensemen in the league, he's still so ridiculously good at defense that you don't have to do something like Canada and the rest of these guys where you have two-way forwards on your fourth line. Like you don't need JT Miller when you have Jacob Slavin like right behind you. Like they could have just done every single goal scorer, skill guy, point guy possible. Like you could have had Trevor Zegras instead of JT Miller, and it would probably go better because that defense is so good. And if that goaltending is hot, like you don't need to have two-way forwards. You can have Jack Hughes on your penalty kill.
And the thing that I keep going back to is the U.S. losing to Canada in the Four Nations in overtime because they couldn't score. Mm-hmm. They had chance after chance after chance, and they couldn't finish. But then they leave off Jason Robertson. They leave off Cole Caulfield. I don't understand it. I don't like their goalies, like even less than ours. I know everybody says that Canada's got like the worst goaltending in the tournament. It's a strength of the U.S. Connor Hellebuck does not show up in clutch games.
Binnington is clutch. Yes. Hellebuck is the complete opposite. He is one of like the worst playoff performing goalies in the league.
He doesn't win anything. He doesn't win, and I'm
okay with it.
Maybe I'm cocky. I'm overconfident.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
The U.S. do not scare me, even in the slightest. I am more afraid of the teams like the Czechs. I had high hopes for the Germans. It hasn't gone fantastic. Mm-hmm. They've got a pretty decent team, but we'll see where that goes. The Swedes are a good team. They always seem to kind of try and make a deep run, but have had no success against Canada in any format. The Swedes don't scare you either, especially with the injuries that they have. Nylander's not practicing even. He's just suiting up for games and kind of playing. They already had a couple of replacements go in before the tournament. So I'm not afraid of anybody. And I'm really excited to shove it down the Americans' throats.
Yeah.
If they want to say that it didn't, if they want to say that it didn't really count before because it's just the four nations, if we do it at the Olympics too, then that would just be perfect. Or for them to not even make the gold medal game, like just have them lose.
That's what I'm clinging to.
Like,
but I'm of two minds because I would love for them to crash and burn like that, but I also know that there's nothing that compares to a Canada-US gold medal game.
Yeah.
Everything else is so, and we saw that the last time the NHL players went, right? It was Canada, Sweden, and it was a slaughter.
Yep.
Not even close.
No, it wasn't. I got up at it was like 3 or 4 a.m. local time here to watch that game, and it was terrible. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you guys as high on this Canadian team as I am after 2 round robin games against middling opponents?
I mean, with having experience like with the Bruins team being a record-breaking team and then crashing and burning in the first round of the playoffs, I don't necessarily like to be the favorites going into it. I have a lot of confidence for this team, but that still worries me.
Yeah.
I'm just, I watched these 2 games and McDavid is an absolute animal. He's gonna break the Olympic point scoring record. The record's 11 in the tournament. The guy's got 6 in 2 games.
Yes.
McKinnon is going beast mode. Celebrini's just out there having fun. Crosby is incredible.
As your 3C.
As your 3C. Well, yeah, mix and match. Now that McKinnon is playing on the wing,
we'll see. They had Suzuki play the 2C, but I'm sure it'll be mixed up for next game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You still have another game to tinker against France before you start getting into elimination games to really find the sweet spot. But
yeah, I guess the one thing I would be the most worried about, I kind of forgot about this, with them having Binnington, Thompson, Kemper, they sat Binnington last game. With the next game coming up, do you play Kemper so that he gets to play a game? But at that point, Binnington has sat for so long. I would be a little bit worried then going into the elimination stuff with him not playing.
No, I think Kemper, unfortunately, with
just
the way Logan Thompson played, he's lost his opportunity. It'll be Binnington starting with Logan Thompson backing up. Yeah. Now, that was probably John Cooper's plan from the get-go. I would imagine Kemper was probably already aware of his position on the depth chart. Not because he's not a good goalie, but Logan Thompson deserves to be there. He had his debut and he looked fantastic. But Cooper's always was going to Binnington, right?
Yeah.
Well, he said, before the tournament started, he said, 358 days ago, he knew that Binnington was going to be his starting goalie. So,
it was all about the second and third position on that roster, which is totally turned over from the 4 nations, right?
Yeah, I'm feeling optimistic about it. I think Canada looks, at least from what I've seen, to be the strongest team, but I don't want to make any crazy statements because it seems like when I make crazy statements, they backfire on me pretty hard. So I'm feeling confident, but I'm not going to say anything else.
Because I thought the difference between the Olympics so far and the 4 nations is the Canadians look like they didn't know what to do with their talent.
Yeah.
Like McDavid looked uncomfortable trying to be the man because Sidney Crosby was there or whatever, right? Now McDavid is like, forget Crosby's going to do his thing. That's fine. But I can go out here and I can dominate a hockey game. And guess what? McKinnon's going to ride with me. They just look so much more comfortable in this setting with largely the same team that I I just think they've dusted all that off and they're just ready to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Well, and they said like it's all business. So I don't. The other part of that, like, I don't think they care about what any of the other guys on the team really think. Like Marchand should just know and accept that he is not there to be like the guy that he's being on Florida this year, scoring all these
No,
points. Like he knows he'll play
exactly.
third, fourth line as a penalty killer, maybe get a look on a power play. And
And that's
McDavid should expect to be
yeah.
first line center, first line power play.
Yeah.
And that's why, that's going back. That's what I was talking about with Tom Wilson. Is on one end you got these guys who are super comfortable now doing what they're doing, and Tom Wilson is not. So he got his experience, but now it's time to throw Marchand back in the lineup,
Yes.
right? Because he knows his role. He knows exactly what he's going to do. He's only going to play maybe 10 minutes
Yeah.
once you get going, but he knows how to make those 10 minutes effective.
Yes.
Get out there, piss somebody off, go sit down.
Yeah. Another standout for me, which is also painful, is Mitch Marner has looked like he's living up to this stage as well.
What a
He-
pass on that stone goal.
And then the Crosby one, the vision to feed him in front of the net for that tip was on. Like Marner is looking incredible, so I'm partially happy for him, but also as a guy who watched him never produce in the playoffs, a
So
little
bitter.
frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, gonna have you predict gold, silver, and bronze. Start with Logan.
Well, I mean, I don't exactly know how the playoffs are set up either, so I don't have full knowledge on
Yeah.
what team would play where, but it's got to be Canada Gold.
Yeah.
That's the easy pick, and then if there's an upset, which I don't think there really will be, it probably states silver, and then I would put the Czechs as bronze. And I think
Okay.
that the state, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. There could be an upset in there, but
No, I say okay because that was my exact top three. I had the Czechs going third as well.
That was
they
mine
just got
too.
so much experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Czechs play a good system too. So
Yeah, I was going
Interesting.
with the same thing. The only thing that I could maybe see skewing things a bit is Finland looks okay.
Yeah.
That's the only team that I can see squeezing
Yeah.
in there somehow, but I'm still gonna stick to that same top three because
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know why we just don't have faith in Sweden and Finland. It's just that brand of hockey is dead, and they need to have their revolution. They have something, Sweden with Landeskog, he's got bigger body, plays a little bit rougher, tougher. The Swedes, I think, are closer than the Finns, in my opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to dig on you for anything, but I think the Swedes are the international equivalent to the Leafs. They like World Juniors. They are
Yeah.
always undefeated, and then come
in the
time
round
for
robin
the elimination
round,
game, they're out.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
I think it's the same way again. I mean, they're obviously not going to be undefeated, but make it in again, lose early. It's just the way that it has been for them. They've won a couple gold, World Juniors here and there and everything like that, but
Yeah.
no, I just don't have faith in them ever.
I don't either. But quickly before we finish up here, I want to talk about the women's side of the tournament as well. They're already getting through quarterfinal games today and tomorrow as we speak. So Canada today beats Germany in their quarterfinal matchup. But of note, if I heard it correctly, that was on the women's side, Germany's first ever goal that they've scored against Canada in international play.
Wow.
I believe it ended up 5-1, but it was a beauty of a shorthanded goal. They made it interesting for a while, but Canada getting Marie-Philippe Poulin back after getting hurt in the first game makes a huge. I'm not sure I've ever seen one player when we talk about McDavid and Edmonton, but makes such a difference to a team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that game against the American women was, I
Brutal.
I would say hard to watch. I quit watching.
Yeah. Brutal.
Well, and I think it's almost with the men and women, it's almost a complete switch with like Canada and the States, because the States, for their women's team, I'm seeing everyone saying like they took all the skill. They took the youth, the speed, the
A
skill.
lot of it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like Canada kind of took some of the more older, experienced people, and it kind of showed in that game. But I mean, you were missing Poulin, so that's a huge loss. But on a team of Canadian All-Stars, it probably shouldn't affect your team that badly.
It really shouldn't. You're right, but
The scary thing for me in those quarters is Germany's goal was the only goal scored by a losing team in the quarters.
yeah. You're
Every
right.
other
So
game
far,
was
there's
a shutout.
one game left, but the other
It's.
two. Were
I think it's
shutouts.
completed now. It's 1-0. It's over.
Oh,
now.
the Finnish Switzerland game.
Yeah,
Okay.
Swiss won 1-0. So
Oh, that's actually a shock. I
Yeah.
wasn't tracking that.
There you
I
go.
was
Sweden's out
surprised.
again.
yeah,
Finland.
No, Finland's
sorry,
out.
Sweden.
Sweden
Yeah,
won.
Sweden beat the Czechs.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I misheard.
But yeah, Germany's
So-
goal was the only goal by a losing team in the quarters, and it's
Yeah.
against Canada, and that's not great.
So that leaves you with Sweden, Switzerland, U.S., and Canada as the last four on the women's side. It's cool to see that game's come a long way too, because that's another one where at the Olympics there was no point in watching till the gold medal game. It was Canada, U.S., Canada, U.S., Canada, like for a decade.
Yeah.
um,
It's still kind of leaning that way based on the scores. Like the
Yep,
other two
it's
games were
been-
pretty close compared to the Canada and U.S. games.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marie-Philippe Poulin ties Haley Wickenheiser for the most international or Olympic goals. I'll need to clarify that distinction, but cool. Little bit of hockey left. She'll probably take that mantle over, which is crazy. Growing up with a name like Wickenheiser in the sport was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not as confident. I will back the ladies, but the American women scare the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
I think it's gonna be a tough go to beat them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coin flip once you get to the game, but I don't. Getting trounced like that in the round robin, it works for both team psyches, right? The Americans now they have the confidence, like this is kind of their tournament to lose right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but Canada missing that piece and getting it back kind of spurs them on a bit, so we'll see.
Exactly.
We'll see. I don't hold a lot of faith in that one, but we'll see how it goes.
Yes. Nervous but excited. That leaves us to stay on brand with our dumbest sports moment of the Olympics so far. Logan, what's your dumbest Olympic moment so far?
It's more unfortunate than dumb.
Yeah.
I don't want to dig on it too much, but the U.S. figure skater, the quad god, just completely blowing it for gold medal. All he had to do was not fall, and gold was his, and he decided to fall twice, repeat the same tricks over and over again, and ended up finishing 15th out of everybody when he was the heavy favorite going in, had not lost, I believe, at a tournament ever.
He's already got medals in other events, and then he had an 86-point lead going into the final event there.
They said that, like, I think they were saying he could have dropped all his jumps from quads down to triples, and
he still would have
like swept everybody under the rug.
Yeah, like what I was hearing from the commentators, like wants to do it like as best as he possibly can, but that ultimately ended up being his demise because he
Yeah.
went for it every time, and
Which,
it didn't
I
work.
do understand because, like, talked about in the World Series, you don't want to win on that home plate review. You want to win in a big moment, right?
Yeah,
But at the same time, especially after falling once, maybe mitigate the risk a little bit.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
to do it again, just completely unfortunate. But
Yeah.
the you did not have to risk it, so that's why I had it as my dumbest moment so far.
yeah. I have a hard time with that one because I agree. I agree with you that it's unfortunate. It sucks for him. He's fairly young. He's not a kid, but he's not an adult, right? Like he's kind of in that middle ground at 21. But I really, really hope that it teaches him some humility. Because
Yes,
man,
Yeah,
is
at the
he a
same
hard
time.
guy to listen to.
Speaking of, let's go to your dumbest moment so far.
Yeah, mine is I don't even know what her name is because I don't pay attention enough. But the USA skier, that Lindsey Vaughn, you have it on there. You're so helpful.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I wrote
bud.
it for
Hey,
you.
Suzanne's ex-wife.
Lindsey Vaughn, as she has a crash that has since been denied that it's related to her earlier ACL tear that she had a week before the Olympics. I don't know if I buy that. Like, you're an Olympic
could
tier. Yeah, you're an Olympic tier skier. You're going around a fence, or what are they called in that? I'm so dumb.
Gates.
A gate.
Flags.
Thank you. A
Yeah.
fence gate. You're going around a gate. You hit a hill, a little slope. You catch some air. All of a sudden, her ski is 90 degrees to where she's going.
Just completely crooked halfway through.
And you're gonna tell me that has nothing to do with the fact that you have a torn ACL a week before? Like, nothing to do with that at all? Like, I don't buy it. And it's just like, how is she cleared medically when you have a serious injury like that to then go and compete in the Olympics? And it's like, now you have a life-changing injury on top of your already potentially life-changing injury to deal with,
like,
right?
good luck
It's
walking.
like, yeah, like,
My God.
I get it. It's the Olympics. This is what these people live for, right? Like, this is what they're doing their sport to compete in. I totally get it. To an extent, when you have a tear of something that serious,
that important to your sport,
that close to the Olympics, like, do you not think there should have been somebody along the line that said, hey, you're not allowed to do this? Like, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, my brother had a great line. It was play stupid games, win stupid rewards. But my first reaction when I heard that she was gonna race was, first of all, was drug tester. How can you physically be able, after tearing? That was reaction one, and reaction two was, did you actually tear your ACL then? Like, these two things can't be true at the same time. You tearing your ACL and competing.
Yeah.
That's a devastating injury that's ended so many people's careers in different sports. How a week later are you skiing?
Like, as a comparison, a skater, like hockey, you tear your ACL, you're done for the season. When you, like, just barely paying attention to the skiing at all, when they're going down that hill, they're doing like 89 kilometers an hour.
More
than
that.
that.
Yeah, they peak over 100.
Like, that's like some of the corners and stuff. Like, she had to just been dying inside, or it wasn't actually that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, if it is that bad, I get that it was her last hurrah. She's like 41 now, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was her last Olympic, her last hurrah, and the States ended up winning gold anyway. But you could have given someone else then a shot to get their experience at the Olympics, like some 22-year-old. They could have then got a chance, and maybe they would have done something more than crash three corners in.
Femur.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just blows my mind, because it's like, I get it, last hurrah, but it's not like you haven't done it before. and it's not like you still don't have half of your life to live after this.
She's
It's
very
just,
accomplished. Like, she didn't need
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, like sit back.
Totally.
Go instead. Just
Totally.
change your flight, or even not even. You don't even have to. You're going to Italy. You already
Yeah.
have your flight booked a week before. You tear
Sit
your
there and
ACL.
watch,
Just be
man.
like, I'm going to Italy. I'm gonna chill on the beach, and then I'll go to the hill to watch the other
go
people do it.
coach,
Right? Like,
go
yeah.
advise, go support. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Silliness.
well, mine's a lot more lighthearted, depending on how you look at it, I suppose.
Kinda.
Serious and grim, some ways lighthearted. in
Yes,
others.
yes. In comparison, my dumbest moment of the Olympics so far is the Norwegian athlete who decided that while doing a live interview on air was the perfect time to confess to cheating on his girlfriend back home.
Yeah.
We're all men, okay? How? What process went through his brain to decide this was the time to do it? Not even like, okay, maybe we don't have all the details, but like, did bro text her and give her a heads up, like, hey, I'm about to say something on air. Maybe you should
Nah.
like watch this, or just
Nah.
She
drop
just-
this bomb.
I didn't even
You're
think of
given-
that. She's just not watching.
Oh yeah, you're giving
It
that
never
guy way
crossed
too
my
much
mind.
credit. You're giving that guy way too much credit for that. That guy was
This is
at,
not the platform for it.
Yeah. That guy made a dumb choice somewhere along the line. Realized later on that he made a dumb choice and was just swinging for the fences.
Like, yeah. On one hand, you're like, you know what? Good for you for owning up to it. On the other hand, you're like, you did it on live television in an Olympic interview, you moron.
Yeah.
Billions to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real dumb. Real
Way
dumb.
to ruin your brand in 30 seconds.
Your brand, your relationship, the back half of your
Yeah.
life.
Well,
Like,
and that poor woman too. Like,
that
now
right?
you have your dirty laundry aired out for everybody to hear. You have this awkward little like voice in your head
friends
that's
and
like,
family.
what are people gonna think now if you don't take him back when he apologizes on TV in front of the whole world?
But
like,
if you
that
do take
poor
him back,
woman.
he's a dick. Like,
Yeah. I just, that's just so slimy.
it is. That's the other thing. Like, is it a ploy? Like you said, like is this his on his knees in the rain last
Uh-huh.
ditch hurrah? Right? Like,
It's gotta be, right?
Oh.
Like you don't bring that out on live TV for the Olympics without knowing that that's your like, here we go. We're just swinging
Yeah.
for this pitch. Like no matter what, we're
Well,
swinging. You're down 0-2
I hope
and
for
you
him-
gotta go.
much like us, that he swung big and misses wide, because I
Yeah.
think he probably deserves that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. That has been a solid 2-hour talk about all sorts of hockey. And then some
Couple
real
of
dumb
piss
stuff at
breaks
the
in
end.
there.
We'll do some choppy edits and toss that out there. No worries.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Logan, for coming along with us
Alright,
on this.
yeah, thanks for
on this
having me.
journey. Yeah.
Yeah. And enjoy the rest of your Olympics. Enjoy the rest of the hockey. And we'll be back. We'll get back to some regularly scheduled programming.
Yep.
All right.
Sweet.
Bye-bye.
Bye.